my end, and then I'm gonna get the stream going on. And I didn't even tell anybody we're streaming, so this is gonna be one of those things
That's all right.
where like you do, where you just jump on and
You just jump on and people slowly start filtering in.
yeah, I think we're live. So
Cool. There we go.
There we go.
That's how we do it usually.
All right, guys. So we're live. This is a just random ad hoc stream. Sean Wignall, if you guys don't know, which you should know, you follow my channel. He's he's a football dev, which is why we're both broke. And no, football
truer words have never been spoken.
Let me close my blinds real quick.
Yeah, you're live. I see it out there.
This is why people have like starting in like 5 minutes because they have time to actually get on and do this, and then they switch their screens. But we're going super hardcore, and we're just gonna roll with it. So we'll see if anybody comes in. Let me just do a tweet because I want to.
There's already 4 people on.
Wow. Yeah, people probably thought I was dead because I haven't done anything in a long time.
Maybe.
So, and let me tweet this out just real quick, just in case anybody wants to come check us out. And this is going to be recorded. Obviously, it's going to be there on the on the archives. We'll keep it on there. I thought you were dead. Yeah, it's been a while. Awesome. It's been a while. I'm alive. I don't know how I'm alive, but I'm not getting any younger. That's for damn sure. And
God, tell me about it.
And Sean and I, we're buddies, man. We text all the time on Discord, and we chat about football dev, about other devs, about God knows what, and we have a pretty good time. And we just wanted to do a chat with you guys, share it with you guys. He and I haven't talked in a while, like at least on camera. So we thought it'd be a good time to do that. And
yeah, why not?
And I don't know if you want to, I mean, you've been working on, we can start with that. Like you've been working on your new game, your old game, but it's new again. Your third iteration of Desktop Dynasties, but this is the one that, this is probably the one, and you can talk about it.
This is the one.
This is the one where you can just do what you want to do and not worry about anybody else. So do you want to talk about that at all or share that with everybody?
Yeah. Yeah. So like you said, I'm working on Desktop Dynasties 3. I am just doing it for fun. I work full-time job, which is, it's a pretty cool job. I make enough that I don't have to worry about game dev money. So I found I miss making football games. So I'm literally working on Desktop Dynasties 3 because it makes me happy and like no other reason.
Yeah.
And the fun part is like working on a game just because it makes you happy. It's a lot of fun, but also it feels like the game's even better. So it's been cool.
The game will be better because now you don't have to work. And by the way, you've learned, you've learned a thing or two about what to listen to, what not to listen to. And we always, here's the problem. And I watch, believe it or not, I watch your streams, and I only say believe it or not because I know you don't put a lot of production time into them, and I know that they're raw like I do.
Zero production time.
and I also know that for you do it as like like therapy almost too, and a way and a way to connect, and a way to connect, free therapy, and a way to connect, well, minus your time, but a way to connect with the crew, right? With people who are like-minded, and so I think that the reason why I laugh about when I watch is because it's not going to sit there and entertain the hell out of you because it's not all pre-scripted. It's not a bunch of crap. This is the raw, uncut, version of you. And I think it's cool because I want to see what you do with this game without worrying about the money and the, like the feedback and all that criticism, and the money's a big part, right? So, so I'm interested in where you take this because I still think that there's an opportunity. I mean, look at Gridiron. He's on here. There's an opportunity for games that are not just your Madden clones, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a place for it. And I think it's fun to work on the game and like you said, get free therapy in my videos and everything. Funny enough though, like my videos I ramble a lot, as you often know too, but from watching my videos so long, um, they get really long. I do a lot of therapy and just rambling on. I've gotten feedback that the people who watch my videos like to go to sleep listening to my video. Like they put it on when they go to bed and just listen to me ramble. Like that's kind of funny.
I just put it on, and I mean, I like the parts where you're talking about game dev, obviously, because we know it's always cool to hear. It's always cool to hear the backstory. And I don't know if the guys in the chat. I mean, this is where I have issues. I'm OCD a lot, and I just want to make sure that you guys can hear us okay, and that our volumes are okay. Even though, to be honest with you, I don't know. I mean, all we could do with our volume is actually you could probably turn yours down maybe if mine, because mine.
I could turn it down a little bit. Yeah.
All right. Let me see.
How's that sound? I went down a notch. I don't know if it even makes a difference on your end.
Let me see. Yeah, that's actually better.
Okay.
Better on my end. Maybe just a tad, like a notch.
A little bit more.
All right. That should be good. And now,
okay.
So for the guys in here or girls or whoever's here, what's up, Joey? Happy New Year to you too. Hopefully the volume seems good. I think it looks good. So let's move on. Yeah. So by the way, Sean and I are like, let's do a stream, right?
And that was all the planning we had right at there.
Exactly.
Let's do a stream.
Exactly. And when you do that, you you sit here for 30 minutes trying to figure out how to do it again.
Yeah.
So, as far as me, guys, I know I haven't been around for a while on YouTube. It's been a couple months, and the holidays and end of year, and me trying to figure out, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that only probably the hardcore guys know about me, that it is like, we're the real devs. Like when I watch devs online and I see these people that are trying to sell you stuff, they're trying to sell you a YouTube, video and their channels and their Udemy courses and, whatever they have that they're trying to sell, which I get, we all have to make money. And that's why this is so hard, because part of the reason why this is difficult for us indies is because you want to be authentic. You want to just tell people how you feel, whether you hate feedback or you hate, whatever it is about the scene or what you're doing, but you also need to sell copies of your games, and you also want to get views. You want to grow your channel, and it's not to be rich. It's actually just to stay afloat, and a lot of these people, they can't be themselves. And Sean and I, like, and you guys are probably watching, like, you can totally see when people are not authentic and they're just trying too hard, but at the same time, they kind of have to almost be.
They have to. That's the game.
That's the game. Right? That's the game.
Yeah. And especially if you're going to try to be a game dev and make all your money on your YouTube channel.
Well, that's what a lot of them, this is about Cyberball, but and we're going to get to that in a sec, but a lot of them are all trying to figure out this like magic recipe of, do I do dev logs? Do I do a YouTube channel? Do I tweet out things? What kind of social media do I have? I mean, how much should I be promoting my game? How much should I spend time working on my game? And I can tell you what, especially from like my experience, because that's all I can kind of talk from, is this stuff just takes so long that you really don't have a lot of time, which is why I've slowed down heavily on YouTube. Even though I haven't been doing that much, I've also slowed down because I just don't have the bandwidth, and I don't think it's going to help me in the long run. It's going to burn me out more, and it's going to not progress my game more than it should. So I want to kind of wait till I have something to show, wait till I have some things that I can share with the community, and not be so caught up on. Definitely there's no more dev logs for me. That's not happening ever again. There's just no way,
Yeah, that's not your style anyway.
No. It's not my style. And I like doing things raw and talking with you and, and just sharing progress. But I mean,
you should start doing videos for free therapy like I do. It's actually kind of fun.
Well, that's what I've thought about too, because I mean, there's times where I'm depressed and I'm low and I'm wondering, you see your friends that are making all this money, and you're like, man, what am I doing? Because the whole world is all about inflation and money and prices, and everything's going up and up and up. And it's just like, if you're not making a good amount of money, not even minimum wage. If you're not making a ton of money, you're really behind. And, you know, when you're standing still, you're kind of falling back because everybody else is running to make the most they can make. 17, but I changed the rules of myself every few years to make it hard. Oh, only
he's been playing Legend Bowl for 27 seasons. I asked him how many championships he had.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I mean, yeah, and it's something weird as you get older, you start to feel your mortality, but you also start to time becomes so important, so precious, and you just
oh man, no
you know
kidding.
it's I think that's why we get depressed too, because we're like, you know, what happened to our lives? Why are we here at this point? How did we get here? And you reflect a lot, and then you're like, so there's a lot of therapy that I do to myself, right? Like self therapy or whatever, and I don't know if it works or not, but
yeah, I just do it all on YouTube when I'm supposed to be talking about my game.
Yeah, you had one recently where you did the whole first thing was about, I think it was the first one you came back on when you were talking all about, you know, your life for the past, you know, year or whatever. And I know you've been through a lot, and it's not easy, man. It's not easy to go through life, period, let alone when you have things that happen to you. And you've gone through years and years of game dev, trying to escape, you know, and trying to do your own thing, and to when you got to go back, and it's like, you know, and
tough.
And trust me, I have contemplated heavily all the time getting a job all the time, because to me it's like you push a button. Yeah, it's hard to find a job, but it's not that hard. Once you find a job, you're making money, you have benefits, everything is there. You have to deal with the 9 to 5, deal with the headaches, deal with corporate America, but you're getting paid. You are getting paid. And I keep telling my wife lately, I'm like, when she's mad or she gets upset about work, I'm like, you know what? You got paid today. Like, you're getting paid, and
That's what I keep saying too. Like, every time I have a bad day, I'm like, yeah, but they gave me money to be there.
And you have to say that, even though I know, like when I did it, that when I was working before, that I didn't appreciate that much. When you're on the other side, it's very easy to see it and know that man, you have to put more value in that, because there are people that just don't even have enough, you know, to eat or have a house, right, or have health benefits. So whatever, not to get all like sad and down and blue about it, but there's a lot of emotion and a lot of psychology and just, you know, inner like strength that you have to have in order to do this on so many levels, especially when you're married and you have kids, and, you know, it's just a lot. And for me, which this will be a good segue, for me, I have been trying to figure out, do I make a game? Do I start a business? Do I get a job? Do I reinvent myself and do something else? Am I just a stay-at-home dad, which isn't going to cut it financially? And then, you know, I always go back to, I don't like to make games that are not what I want to make, and what I like are football. I like sports games, but I like football and
football games, man.
And I've done football, and I go back and I say, well, football's not going to make me a millionaire. Football's not going to get me out of the rat hole. It's not going to make me, you know, anything more than what I've been, but that's okay for me, at least at this point, because I have done well enough, even though I've worked many, many, many years full-time, had no income for like 7 years. You know, I mean, total without a job. I mean, at a job, I didn't have a job. It's probably almost 8 years, coming up on 8 years now, I think. And so I haven't made up anywhere near. So I know you worked real jobs in between. You worked contract jobs, and you had some money coming in here and there. And I don't even think you've probably made more money than I have with, you know, all those years, you know? So it's like, I tend to, you know, contemplate, you know, what I'm doing. And this stream is totally raw, as you can hear. We're going through a psychotherapy.
You gotta start every stream and video with a little bit of therapy.
You just
helps.
But you know, but that's the thing. Nobody wants to, even like when you do yours, nobody wants to hear the raw dev talk. Nobody wants to hear what you're really going through. Nobody wants to hear like the basic boring crap. And I get it. Everybody's time is precious, and Klep's asking for custom playbooks already. Yeah, I know you want more, but I don't know what I'm going to do. So anybody who's following me for College Bowl, we're still going to consoles. I have some things that might be in the works that might be some big news, but probably not. We'll see. And then I don't know what I'm going to be doing as far as supporting those. Unless there's major bugs, I'm probably not going to do much for a while. So just FYI. But we're going to segue now into Sean and I have been talking about Cyberball for a long time. He actually built a game, at least, it's not fully finished. I think it's in early access, right? On Steam.
It's launched, but it's also probably not fully finished.
Okay. Well, I know you were trying to do a quick, like, minimum viable product, and you were trying to get it out there.
Yeah, I was trying to get something out there. It basically a Cyberball, but amped up for newer 3D, all that stuff. But by the time I got to the end, I realized like there wasn't a lot of interest in it. So I just, hey, I gotta launch this and go back to work.
Well, that's the hard part too, which is what we are always trying to do. You and I are always trying to understand how to be successful as indie devs, but the indie dev scene is so much different than the sports indie dev scene. And when you say it wasn't successful, I'll tell you, a lot of that has to do with the fact that it's not the game. It's not you as a dev. It's not your abilities or your skills. A lot of it's just the interest that people have in it and the visibility they have into it. Because we just don't have a lot of visibility and a lot of reach to these places. And you and I are not the kind of people, nor do we have the time to put all of these efforts into promoting our games, promoting our channel, starting a YouTube, being fake. You and I can't be fake, which is part of the reason why we don't do well at jobs, because we can't be actors. We can't walk in and deal with things. I mean, we can up to a certain degree, but we're just too raw, and maybe that's an immature thing, or that's a stupid thing for us to be, right? Because it hurts us in the end, but it's also,
It's just the way it is now. Who knows? Right?
Well, that's the way I've always been, to be honest with you.
No, I mean, like that's just what's popular. The fake personality is popular now. Who knows? Maybe authentic will be popular in the future.
I don't know, but when you're authentic, nobody wants to deal with that. People want to live in a fake reality, right? They want to live in a dream world, and that's just not. It's not fun to be the guy saying you don't want to be the guy in a meeting being like, nope, this isn't going to work, and be the party pooper and be the down guy. And that's
my work life,
right?
Every day.
You're the guy telling people what's going to be able to fit, what's not, by what deadline. And they want yesterday. And you're like, no, it's going to be this much more and another month or two. Right.
Yeah.
So you're never going to have great news. No, but the guys who get promoted are the ones that lie. Everyone forgets. And then later on, they're late anyway. So it's just like, I don't know. Okay. So a lot of rambling, but we wanted to buy some time to get people in here as well. We got 20 people in here. So thanks for showing up. We want to share this stuff with you guys. And
that like doubles my subscribers.
And we're glad that you guys joined. But we're going to talk about a game called Cyberball. And, Cyberball is one of those games where it was out in the arcade a long time ago. I'll give a little bit of background on it that I can share.
Oh, there it is.
And I for those of you guys who are younger, you may not know about this game. It came out a long time ago in the 1980s, I'm sure. I want to say 1987, but that's just a raw guess. And the game was out in the arcades when you used to go to malls and actually buy things in physical stores, go with your family. And it was an event. It was like a mini Disney World event when you would go to a big mall, and you would have, at least in my area, you'd go to the mall, you'd all shop around, you'd split up, go to your stores, meet back up in the food court, eat at the food court. And then, some of us would go play, like there'd be an arcade. And whenever there was an arcade, I'd always run to the arcade and I'd want to go play. I'd want to go play, and I'd be like, Mom, Dad, can I get some quarters? My dad would never give me quarters, but my mom, can I get some quarters? And she'd throw me some quarters or whatever, and I'd go here and there, and I'd try to play games. I always loved games, always loved them. And the arcade was like one of the first times, right, for games for us. And I remember seeing Cyberball there, but I could never play it because there was a line of people. And what it was pretty cool because there was a line. And I don't want to talk this whole stream, so just talk. If you want to talk, I'm just rambling. So if you ever want to talk, just stop me. I'm not trying to hijack anything. I got a lot that I want to say, but you're welcome to say whatever you want, Sean, and tell me to shut up. But
I know we've done this a few times before.
I know. I just know that we didn't start, we don't have no script or anything, so we're just raw. But the thing I remember, which is why I never really had a chance to really get experience with the game, was that it was always very busy, and it was always this tournament style, like Mortal Kombat was back in the day, where you had a line of people and the winner kept going, right? So like if you won, you kept going. I think you even took the other guy's quarters or something, but you kept going, and or maybe you didn't die in the arcade if you won, and you got to keep playing. But
the winner gets to keep playing, and then the next person comes up and is the challenger. That's usually most places I've been at. That's how it worked.
Okay, so then but that's what it was. It was like I sat there and I'm like, first of all, I'm not going to get in line and try to beat this guy who's a pro. I have no idea how to play, and wait 20 minutes just to maybe get a chance to play him. And it felt very intimidating. I was a little kid at the time, and it was like, man, this is what is this game? And I would look at it and I'm like, the graphics were phenomenal for the time. It looked 3D, it looked beautiful. And I kind of forgot about it. During those years, I just went away. It died. It came out on the consoles and stuff, but I don't think I ever played it because
it wasn't the same on consoles. I got it on consoles, and it was different. It just wasn't the same. Yeah, it wasn't as fun.
And I never really, I didn't know they were on consoles back then because they weren't good. I don't think there were good games on console. And I look now over the years, and I know that they had Genesis and maybe other consoles as well. But the game does not look good on those consoles now, and it probably wasn't a good game because I never got it. And I would have gotten it back then. So something about it didn't translate over correctly. And I know the graphics were a big part of it. But then arcade games are just built differently. They're built to be quarter suckers, right? They're built to be, profit machines, right? Revenue making machines. And they're not there to be a Nintendo entertainment system where you just get to play
6 quarters, minimum of 6 quarters to play one game on Cyberball.
So it's a quarter per
period. And at halftime, you could put in a quarter to buy more guys. And if your guy was smoking, you could put a quarter in to get some more funds to fix your guy. And if it went in overtime, it cost more quarters. So it was like $1.50 to $2.50 to play a game.
Yeah. And it was, I know it was a very successful game because it was very competitive, but it was also a good, like it let you play it enough where you didn't blow all your money. Like it was a pretty long game to play, I think, from what I recall. But and if you were winning, like you were saying, in a 2-player game, if you get to keep going, but it was a popular game in the arcades. And then I forgot about it, or I didn't, it wasn't on my mind anymore. Other games came out, Madden, right? Madden over the years, and the games that we've played, 2K games, and it's been, I would say 15 years I've been trying to get the arcade PCB, like JAMA board for it. I've been trying to get the actual board because I've had arcades. I still have an arcade right now, and I'm still trying to get the board, and I do it on and off. Like every 3 to 4 months, I'll look somewhere, I'll try to get one, and I haven't been able to find them. And they're ridiculous prices too. It's like it's like $1,000. I almost got one in the auction that one time. Remember?
I remember that. Yeah.
And I was there with my son, and I'm like, no one's gonna. I was thinking they were going through every machine, and then they had 2 Cyberball machines. They had one that was like the big 2 dual monitor one, and then they had the one that was just like the straight up. You played 2-player, but it was just one monitor. And I remember being there, and I was like, they were going through. This guy was a multimillionaire, and he was selling his. Hold on, let me clear my throat real quick. Hold on. See, I'm talking too much. He was going through this huge warehouse of games, and he had 2 Cyberballs, and I said to myself, all these people, all these nerds that were buying these other games, I'm like, they're not going to want Cyberball. There's no way they're going to want Cyberball because it's a football game. Nobody cares. And I thought I was going to walk out of there for dirt cheap, man. And I remember when I was there, they started bidding on it. Finally, it got to it, and they started bidding on the first one, just the 2-player one. And it was going slow. There was like one guy bidding, and I was like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna get this for like $200-300." Like it was like cheap, and then I started bidding, and then some guy out of nowhere, after like a long pause, some guy, and I had the highest bid. Some guy comes out, and he's like, 300, and I'm like, okay, all right, we got a little bit of competition, and I was like, what, 350, whatever. And the guy, like, he and I were going back and forth, and I got to a point where I was just bidding just because I was like mad, and and it got to
angry bidding.
Yeah, and it got to close to $900, like eight something back then. This was, I don't know, probably, I don't know, 8 years ago somewhere. I don't even know, probably 4 years ago. And it got to like, I think $800 something or 850 or 875. And I was like, man, I swear I could have got that for under 400, but this guy just started to chirp. And I was like, why did that guy have to come? That one guy had to be there. Yeah. And I almost picked it up. But anyways, long story short, I've always wanted to make the game. I've always wanted to like play the game, like even here now on my arcade, because it looks better on the arcades monitors, like a CRT. Yeah. And all that to say, you made the Cyber League, which was Cyberball remake, and
basically a Cyberball remake.
Well, yeah. why don't you talk? Why don't you talk now about? Because I can't talk anymore right now. And I've been talking too much. Why don't you tell everybody like why you started working on it? What did you actually like do to research the game, and what did you set out to make, and what did you end up making?
Yeah, so I was the same way. Like I was obsessed with Cyberball as a teenager. I think I was 15 or 14 when it was really popular. Old enough that like I could ride my bike to the Chuck E. Cheese, and they had a tournament Cyberball there. And like I was the kid who just dominated everybody. Like I love that game. I lived to play Cyberball. And I always, when I got into game development, I always wanted to make one. But you know, it just took me a while to get good enough at game development to actually make a football game that you could play with a joystick. So when I got to that point, I was working on, I know I had done the first Desktop Dynasties. I think I had started working on the second one, and everybody was just really harping on me for gamepad control. I was like, well, if I want to make a gamepad game, I'm going to make Cyberball. So I started Cyber League football. And what it started off as is just almost an exact updated 3D. Basically, if you took Cyberball and you made it 3D with Unity, that's what I was going for. I think if I know, Havo, you've seen it. I may have posted some videos or pictures of my very first interface looked exactly like the interface we're looking at on the stream. Like the number, right? The play calling screen looked exactly the same. The field looked exactly the same. My models were almost identical. In like draft form, like the number, even to the numbers like creeping off the side of the field, it was all exactly the same. And as we were playing some of those early iterations of it, we realized the old Cyberball compared to games today actually kind of sucks. It's not as fun. The passing is like it uses those little squares, like the ball throws right to the square. And if your receiver's not there, it just lands on the ground, right? And if somebody else is there, he intercepts it. If two guys are there, it bounces up in the air. And like football games have just advanced so much since then. Just in terms of passing, right? If you have a receiver nowadays running a route and you throw it, no matter when you throw it, you're expecting the ball to lead the receiver at an appropriate point that your receiver can catch the ball, right? You're not expecting it to just throw at a square on the field. So like stuff like that started to get uncovered as we were play testing. Another thing that got uncovered is the number of players. 7 players, like Cyberball, is just not enough. There's only 3 active receivers in Cyberball. People now are like, well, that's just not any fun. So like, as we started play testing my prototypes, I started kind of tweaking the formula of Cyberball for Cyber League. I added an extra player on offense. There are 4 receivers. I added obviously an extra player on defense. I added extra positions to kind of give you extra options for when you're building a defense or an offense. So I kind of just tweaked some stuff. I added route-based passing. I added, a bunch of other things. So at the end, what my goal was, all right, let's take Cyberball and let's amp it up to closer to what today's games are, right? 3D, add all these other things. I added like an actual franchise mode in it where you can upgrade robots in between games, and like there's challenge modes and unlockables, like just a whole bunch of things Cyberball didn't have. Excuse me. And I think overall it was fairly successful for what I was trying to accomplish. I think it's a fun game. I know Havo has said this a lot. I tend to agree with him. It's if you look at the totality of what it could be, what is out there right now is probably a very good prototype, very good playable prototype. I think there's a ton of extra things that I can add. Like a much deeper franchise mode is something I really want to do someday. I think I can get better players. I could probably get more players. I can get a few additional gameplay ideas, like, instead of just Cyberball where, you throw the ball and if you miss it, it bounces up in the air and all that. Like, I got to imagine, since we're using robots, you can add some weapons in it some way, right? Or various upgrades that can affect other things more than just speed and acceleration, right? There's a lot of cool things I think we could do. So what Havo was talking about, he's thinking about taking on Cyberball again. I was like, hell yeah. Because I released the Cyberball game that didn't do very well. And I still want to make another one. Like, that's how addictive this game is.
Yeah, part of the reason why I wanted to do a stream, well, I was going to do one today, and I might still do one at some point, because I'm trying to research, because I've always wanted to make this game. At least I always thought that, I always had that lost appeal for the game, because I'm like, man, the game. Let me pause it. The game, I'm trying to play it as I talk and I can't. But the game was the game. In the arcades, like I said, it was hard to access the game back then. I couldn't really get in front of it. I didn't have I don't think I had much playing time on it, but it always like just inspired me or made me wonder. Like, I was kind of interested in the game for a long time. And I thought, and I'm not a big robots guy. I'm not a huge sci-fi guy. I like sci-fi, but I'm not like your Trek, like Star Trek guy or whatever. Or, I like space, I like, not space. What the hell? Star Wars. I like Star Wars. And I know Star Wars. I'm just losing my brain here, but, I like a lot of sci-fi, but I'm not one of those guys who goes to conventions and does, the crazy stuff. Right. Wow. And when I look at robots, just like Rocket League, right? I look at Rocket League and I'm like, how could you have ever come up with that? And was that even a good idea? And it turned out to be great in the last, the one they made the last time. The first one didn't really do well, but the idea though is that the thing is, I always, number one, I always had like an allure for the game. Like, there was always something there where I was intrigued by it. And then I love football. And I always thought, and I know even to this day, because I'm watching people online, there's a guy who did a video 11 years ago now, but I'm watching it to learn the strategies of the game, because the game was super strategic, which is why, and very competitive, which is why it's tilted to this day. They still have tournaments for Cyberball, because it is a very like competitive game where you have to have the team matchups are pretty important in that game. You only have so many plays, right? Your stick skills are super important. Like you said, the way you pass the ball, you better have perfect timing. And if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. You may lose your quarterback, right?
Not only that, but anybody who's played it a long time will know this trick. The direction your receivers are facing when the ball gets there makes a difference. So those wide receivers with those net hands, right? Yeah. When the ball is coming in, if you can somehow get your net hand in a certain position, you'll catch the ball over defensive backs and stuff. So like, there's so much nuance.
Oh, I just got an interception. Yeah. Interceptions are hard to get in this game too. So you're saying with the basket, it has to be pointing at the ball for you to catch it?
It doesn't have to be. Like, you can get normal receptions just from the ball landing where your guy is. But if you're really good, you can cut the route short, switch to the receiver, cut the route short, and swing your basket over where the ball is supposed to land, and you can catch it about a yard or two early. And like when you start getting into like the tournament play and stuff, like little tricks like that will like just make people nuts. It's awesome.
Yeah, those are the tricks that you probably have to have, because the game is basic, but I think it has a lot of those little nuances in it that make it deeper than what it looks on the surface, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, stick skills are a big thing, especially for games back then. So like right now, it's asking me to spend 30 grand to upgrade my smoking quarterback. Well, I'm going to spend it because A, it's free because I don't have quarters in it. But B, like I want to learn. The first thing I want to do, because I'm so I haven't really said it, but I'm trying to take a serious stab at making this game. And I also want to, you know, so the first thing I want to do, I want to understand how the game worked. You know, I knew 2K like the back of my hand, but I don't know, even Tech Mobile, I spent many, many years playing the heck out of that game. And I have a good, I just threw an interception. I have a good idea of how this game works, right? I know from the past how it works at some level, right? And then I want to dig deeper. I want to find out like all the nuances, because when you're developing a game, you have to know every little hidden, you know, under the hood fact, or else you're going to have an issue. Now, I don't need to know like every single piece to the point where I'm a master, because I want the game to be different, number one. But number two, it's going to have to be different because it will be a brand new game, right? It's going to just be different by default. So, but I want to get the gist and like the nostalgia of it, like hammered down. I want to know why people today still play it. I want to know what made this game so attractive to people. And even for me, like I knew it was attractive based on the things that were happening back then in those days. Because the one thing this game had, which a lot of arcade games had, it had the graphics, and the graphics were huge. They looked 3D, okay? And if you go back in the day and you look at this from that lens, you thought that you were in the year 2030. It just looked that, right? Those games looked phenomenal.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah, I remember seeing it too. I was like, I can't believe this.
Right. And we
3D.
And I won't get that now, obviously, because now it's a pixel art game, an old pixel art game. So that piece of it won't be as powerful today. But the nostalgia of it will, right? Like you still will be able to have people maybe interested who say, oh, wow, a new Cyberball game. I used to love that game. Like I know I would be interested in that. But I want to find out what made the game so lucrative, like what made it so enjoyable and attractive to people. And I know that you built something, right? I know that you built something. I tested it. I played it on my channel, you know, and I know even playing this now, there are pieces of it that are like, okay, what am I missing? Like, you know, there are times where it's a little boring. And I had the first Cyberball on here. I'm doing emulation right now, and I had the first Cyberball, I think, on here, and it's nowhere near as good as the tournament one. Tournament 2072 is way better.
That's the one.
That's the one, right? Yep. And I'm watching a video about strategy and how to play the game, and I'm already starting to see the hidden value in the game and why this game was so cool, you know?
Yeah, it's one of those ones I did a I don't know if it was a stream I recently did or a video where I talk about like the gameplay experiences being either like smoothed out or jagged, right? Where I have this theory where the highs and lows of playing a game, right? The lows being I'm getting killed, I'm screwing up, I'm frustrated. And then the highs being like, oh my God, I figured it out. Something amazing just happened, right? I think Cyberball, when you look at football games, Cyberball nails the highs and lows because, right, you playing against other people. You have the one guy who knows how to throw their ball and cut his route short with receivers and make all the catches over your defensive backs, or the guy who knows how to run the ball on Cyberball versus the other people who just don't get it, right? They call airmail every pass play because that's the only pass play that they know how to do. And then when you kind of move from the beginner stage to, oh my God, I've learned a couple of tricks, like all of a sudden, all those little frustrations turn into highs where you're doing it to somebody else now, right? And I think it's those swings of, I suck at this, is really frustrating, to, oh my God, I'm really good at it. Or even like within the same level, right? I'm playing, I'm kind of holding my own, I'm earning a little money, and then all of a sudden I upgrade my running back to titanium and I'm dominating. Right? You swing from like the middle of the road up to a high. I think that's the kind of stuff people remember, right? Nobody remembers a vanilla gameplay that's the same all the time. I think what they remember is, God, I was having a hard time, and then this amazing thing happened for one period out of that game, and I'll never forget that period.
Yeah, and Darkroom had a good comment on here. He said the attraction is it plays simple or simply, simple controls, simple rules, unforgiving gameplay, which nets satisfying, rewarding success. And I can tell you that from what I've been playing, because I've been playing it today a little bit, and I can tell you that there's a high risk reward factor. Like even the turbo boost, you basically, I mean, I know you can press it more than once, right? It has a recharge to it, but I don't know how quickly you recharge, because I see the computer
the boost only has one if you're a human. It has multiples if it's the AI.
Yeah, because I see the AI doing multiple.
Yeah, the AI will do it more than once. It's like a
cheat.
It's like a helper because they're AI. And AI sucked back then.
Yeah, but your AI can do it as well?
Yeah, your AI can do it. Just you can't as the human controlled player.
Okay. How much time did you spend researching the game, or did you already know exactly how it worked?
Oh my God, I was obsessed with this game as a teenager. So
you got to play the game in the arcades? You were saying that
I was in the arcades. I must have played the game in the arcade for years until they finally got rid of it. Oh. Then I got it for Genesis, and I played it quite a bit on Genesis, but it wasn't as good. And then I got MAME, and I started playing it again on PC. So like I probably played this game off and on for 20 years.
I did not know that. I didn't know that you got to play, because I'm telling you, I never had an arcade that had it like close to me. And I always used to play Tecmo Bowl. Like that was the one that I played back then, and other games too, because there were, Mortal Kombat, and like there are a lot of games like Street Fighter. And I mean, way back in the day, the Super Mario,
I only played football games growing up.
Okay.
Yeah. That was it. When I had Nintendo, it was Tecmo Bowl. That's all I ever played. I was like that kid that had a notebook who kept track of all my stats so that I could like have a fake season.
So you didn't play like Zelda and stuff like that?
Nope.
Really?
All I did, I've only ever really played football games.
Oh, wow. See, when I was a kid, even actually in college, like I always loved to play. Zelda was a big thing. I loved Metroid. I loved all sorts of games back then. I used to play a lot of the computer games, like the Quest games, like Police Quest and Space Quest. So I was a bit of a nerd about games. I used to love them.
I dabbled, but it was always football. Football was the only thing that ever kept my attention.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting, because back in those days, there were so many good games. Like there were so many different genres that were good. And now, I don't know, I feel like a lot of them are all rebaked, and I don't know. I don't have the patience for them anymore, but sports games for me, I love sports, and I played sports growing up, but I also loved the other games as a kid. But like stuff like this, where it says reserve running back, I just lost the screen. But there are things I want to look at to see.
Yeah, the upgrades. You got to nail the upgrades, because that's what set Cyberball apart from everything else. Was your players will blow up if they're used too much, and you can buy upgrades in the game to make your players better. Like that was the thing. Everybody playing Cyberball was gun and torrents.
Can you tell that your players are better, like on the screen?
Oh yeah, they're immediately fast, significantly faster is almost always what it is.
But you can't like see a UI that shows that they're faster or their stats.
No, like if you just look at the gameplay, you can't see which one has been upgraded. But you see it immediately once they start moving.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just curious how
and that was something I did on Cyber League is I put little visual indicators. Like you remember the little colored stripe underneath on the player wheels? Like that was an attempt for me to like put a little visual indicator so you could see like, oh my God, this receiver's, titanium level.
But on the arcade, they didn't have it.
Plastic.
On the arcade, they didn't have it. They had it on yours. Because Darkroom saying they had it on yours. I thought he was talking about the arcade at first, but I guess he's played your game.
Yeah, I put it on mine just because I think when we started first play testing it, that was something we learned immediately was like, oh, how am I supposed to know that the other team has this titanium receiver unless I can see something?
Yeah, and I like that. Like, why wouldn't you want to like show it on there? I mean, at the very least, to give you the satisfaction of saying, okay, that guy's a stud, right? And not
Yep.
just have to remember who they are, because it's also
Yep.
hard to know. I mean, I know it's an arcade game, but it's also hard to know who's who, right? Like, there are two guys. Like right now, I have two. I have like two sets of the same robots out there, and I'm
Yep.
not sure who's who, right? So,
Yep.
you know, like, so there's the initial part of what made this game so popular back in the day. And then there's the part of how can you take that, whatever that special sauce is, and move it to the modern era.
Make it fun now.
Make it fun now. You know, and I love 2D. I love like pixel art. I know you were trying to go with the 3D. That's what you do anyways. But you know, I don't know. I'm trying to, so stage one is figure this game out again, find out what's so great about it, and just try to remember what was great, and even play it now. You know, play it and see, am I having fun? And I was having fun today. Like I was really sitting here saying, okay, because the one thing that's really really hard that I'm actually enjoying, which I know people are going to complain about, and they always complain about weird stuff, is the passing is so, it's so how do I say it? The timing of it is so important.
It's all timing routes.
It's all timing, and it's almost like real life in a sense where you only have one quick like window to make a decision and throw it, and you better be on target. So it gives you some accuracy. Like in my game, I don't really have like the accuracy is a matter of like your player's skill. I don't think I have accuracy in my game. That the accuracy comes from like, okay, if you're running and you're moving while you throw it, you might get an accuracy, you know, deduction or whatever. And then if your QB sucks, or there's like a weird just, you know, roll of the dice and you mess up, then you have a, you know, an accuracy issue, or the wind. But there's no real easy way. So all I had was like power. It's about how fast and how hard do you throw it. And in this game, having those dots there give you that accuracy.
Yeah, it's 100% timing. It like so yeah, all of even Cyber League now, but every football game now is not about timing. It's about reading the defense. It's about finding holes in the defense. Like you throw to your receiver when he finds a hole, you throw to your receiver when he beats coverage. Cyberball is like the one game that's different where it's none of that matters. All that matters is will your receiver get to the spot when the ball gets there? So when you have pass plays with multiple receivers running routes, what separate, you know, the tournament guys from the guys who just play and have fun is they know timing wise, I have to throw it to this one in 0.5 seconds. In 0.75 seconds, I have to throw it to the next one. The third one, I would have to throw it in like 1.5 seconds. So your reads are very much like you would imagine an NFL quarterback be. It's like read 1, read 2, read 3. And if you miss them, you're out of luck.
The hard part for me though is the joystick does the movement of the quarterback, but it also does the receivers. That's kind of a little bit annoying.
You could change. Now we have, that was a function back then of consoles or cabinets could only have one button.
Right.
So like you can, I did that in Cyber League. You can assign each receiver a different button. That's
so each location would get a different button. Yeah, and I actually think that's a good idea. And I remember you doing that with your game.
Yep.
But there's definitely I'm having fun with this game because it was a great game. It was, you know, it's a AAA game. You can call it that from back in the day, even though it was, I don't know what this Cyberball Rookie League is versus Advanced. What's the difference between the Rookie League? What is this?
So the Rookie League is first of all, there's only the 2 coaches you play against suck. They're just not very smart. You also don't get access to all of the plays or all of the options. It's basically a take Cyberball and put it in tutorial mode is kind of what it is.
I might run it back for a touchdown. Yeah, that's how easy it was. I just ran it back for a touchdown. So, okay, yeah. And I wonder how much of the passing change that you made. I know you say, and this is what what I want to kind of share that I've been realizing a little bit. There's something there. Like, so the passing change that you made is obvious that it, I mean, I'm not saying it's obvious like you didn't do anything smart. I'm just saying like it's obvious where you would think that it's better, but then, and it is better. Like mechanically, it's better to do,
I think it's just objectively better. Yeah.
Right. But the thing about it though is what, and this is just like a one-off, just like debate here or whatever. Do you think that there is like some of that difficulty with the way you had to control the quarterback, plus you had to push up real fast to pick your target? Do you think that you're losing some of the complexity of the game? Like, I know.
No, I don't think so. No? I think I don't know anybody who loved that system because to throw it, first of all, if you had two dots that were next to each other, a lot of times you couldn't really decide, you couldn't really get a good angle at which one am I throwing at. So what a lot of times what ended up happening when you're trying to move the quarterback and trying to point where to throw is it was taking away some of your skill rather than adding skill.
So it was taking away the fun. It was probably frustrating the hell out of you.
It was just giving you frustration without adding a skill level.
Got it.
Really.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
What about?
But while we're on that kind of that topic, I think me switching to a route-based system versus the timing system, there's an argument to be said that by bringing passing into the modern era, I lost something, right? And there's something to be there. I think there's an argument there.
In what way? Again, I didn't follow.
Because the route, so like the timing system that this Cyberball is using, right? The little squares that you have to hit with perfect timing, the skill level and the practice you need to do that is at a much higher level than it is to, oh my God, receiver one is open, hit the button and it throws it to him immediately, right?
So you're saying that your method's easier.
I'm just saying it's different. Like you could make an argument that it takes some of the charm away, or that it takes some of the skill away, but you could also say, well, it adds a different skill. Instead of timing, you have to read defenses, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So yeah, so I'm trying to just figure out how, like, what was good about the game? What was great about the game? Does it still feel good today? Does the arcade version actually feel like fun today? Or does it just feel like a horrible game and you just want to put it down? So there's that question. And the second question would be, how can you transform that game into something today that's better in a sense? I mean, at least different enough in a sense where you capture the nostalgia of the game and what was good about it, but you also bring it to this current generation in a pixel form for me, pixel art 2D form, where it gives you more life. So A, would bring people that loved the game back then, the old guys who would want to play it again, and then B, make it different enough to where why would they buy it why wouldn't they just go play it on MAME, right?
Yeah.
So
if you got to keep one thing, I think everybody has kind of said the same thing about Cyberball. One of the things we all love about it is the controls are so simple. Like it's not like Madden where you have 1,000 jukes and different like every little control on the gamepad does something that you need to be able to do to be good at the game. Cyberball is just point the stick and the guy goes. Like there's nothing else to it. Right. The only other thing you have to do is if you push the button to pass the ball. That's as complicated as control gets.
And the boost, you get a one-time boost on defense.
Yes, some players you push one button and it does something. Other than that, it's point the joystick and he goes.
So let me make sure I got a couple things right, since you know about the game a lot more than probably I do. Obviously, when you're on your last down, which is basically the ball going into critical status.
Critical, yep.
If your guy catches the ball, he blows up. Like if somebody has
he doesn't blow up until he gets tackled. So you can catch the ball on critical, but if a tackle is made while the ball is critical, then you blow up.
Okay, that's
or if you go out of bounds before you defuse it, he blows up. So you think of a turnover turnover on downs as the same thing as blowing up.
But if you were to like drop a pass, you won't blow up.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. If it's an incomplete pass, the ball just explodes in the field and it's no big deal.
Gotcha. And then the yard line, because there's like one in the middle of the field, right? That you have to kind of.
The middle of the field's the defuse, which is basically the first down.
Okay.
So you either cross midfield and get a first down, and then the ball starts off as cold again, or you get a touchdown. In which case, you get a touchdown and the ball doesn't explode.
What about the ball, the rate at which the ball turns from, safe or whatever to stable to critical? Is it always the same frequency, or does that
always the same? Yep.
So it doesn't matter if you complete
every
a pass
down, it goes up one level.
Okay, so there's no benefit to like completing a pass and getting 3 yards or 10 yards until you cross the line.
It's just the amount of you just get money for how good you're doing. Like your stats and stuff gives you money, but as far as critical, nothing. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And if it's critical and you, let's say, score a touchdown and you go to do your conversion, it's still critical, right?
It's always critical on a conversion. Yep.
Oh, it's always critical on a conversion.
Yep. Even if you get a touchdown in your first down, on your conversion, it's critical.
Wow. And what is the option play? Like how do you do the option play on here?
So there's a player called a passing back. The icon says P on it. And what a passing back is basically a running back who has a catapult on him. So you pitch it to the running back, and as long as you stay behind the line of scrimmage, that running back can then throw it downfield.
Oh, okay.
And the reason you would do that,
but you can only throw it real quick. You can only throw it like behind you, right? Or can you throw it in front?
If passing back has the ball, he can throw it to anybody as long as he's behind the line of scrimmage.
No, I'm saying to get it to the passing back, he has to be behind you.
Yeah. So well, it doesn't have to be behind you. He just has to be behind the line of scrimmage. So you can if the passing back has a route that, let's say, moves him forward 3 yards and your quarterback is in the shotgun, so he's technically throwing the ball forwards, but the passing back is still behind the line of scrimmage, the passing back can still throw the ball again. So there's a couple of plays in your playbook in this game where the passing back goes way wide, like snap the ball, the passing back streaks towards the sideline. What a lot of people will do is they'll roll the quarterback away from the passing back to draw the rush. Then they'll throw the ball all the way across the screen to the sideline where the passing back is just barely behind the line of scrimmage. And now you can decide, do I run up the sideline with the passing back, or do I launch it downfield at my wide receiver streaking? So that's one of those go-to plays everybody tries to get.
And how did you handle that with your game then? Because there wouldn't be a target to press. What'd you do?
I basically did the same thing. I made all my passing back plays, all my option plays, where the passing back is basically a running back. I don't have them go out for passes behind the line of scrimmage very often, just to make it easier for everybody.
Okay.
So you'll pitch it to the passing back, and then the same rules apply. As long as he's behind the line of scrimmage, he can throw it to anybody.
Got it. Okay. Cool. That's interesting.
Yeah. The reason you would do a passing back instead of like roll out with your quarterback and just run it is because usually, on most levels, like most metal, like upgrades, the passing back is faster than the quarterback. So that's why you would use it. Cause it does take away an active receiver when you use a passing back, but he's faster than the quarterback. So it's just a kind of a good way to run the option.
Okay. Interesting. And then all the money that you spend on these players, in the arcade, you basically like if you got a titanium running back and he exploded, then you just go back to the basic one, right? Like they
go back to the next level below.
Oh.
So it'd be like magnesium, whatever the next level down is.
And you learned all this by playing it as a kid, or you had to refresh your memory?
Oh no, I remembered all this from playing it as a kid. I played so much.
Jesus, man, that's awesome, bro. Like
we got one at Chuck E. Cheese, and Chuck E. Cheese was 5 miles away from my house. So me and my buddies would get on our bikes and bike over to Chuck E. Cheese and spend like 5 hours playing Cyberball.
Wow. That's awesome. It's a great game. Like it's a great
really
game.
Cool.
And I think it has, I don't know. I just, there's a lot of things I have to learn because I don't like all the things you're telling me are all brand new, just nuances that I don't really understand. But I've always wanted to play this game. Like I've always wanted to really play it on my arcade.
I still believe there's something there that people would love. I think you just got to crack that nut. And I think it could be a really popular game.
Well, look at look at Rocket League.
Yeah.
Rocket League, I know it's totally different, but this isn't that far from that. I mean,
there's something there.
There's something here, and it's not. I mean, Rocket League's a little bit crazy, but this is more closely tied to football. But I like I like the fact that you don't have to pick the offensive or defensive lineman, or really defensive lineman.
Nope.
You don't have to worry about that. They do their thing, which typically in football games, all you're doing is smashing the crap out of the buttons to try to get past the line. So that doesn't do much. You could still blitz.
I like that too. Yeah.
You could still blitz with one of your linebackers or any player, right? You could try to do a blitz.
You can blitz at any time with anybody.
But I also think, which is what I was trying to when I was thinking about this, and I know it's almost impossible, but online is probably a huge component. But then again, you have to have the users out there playing it. Like it's not worth it to have it for 1,000 users. Like it's not worth it. You need like hundreds of thousands of users, or at least, a good number to waste the time and money on an online server, right? And even all the code. Right?
Yep. I think if you just did what's that one that you did for Legible, Steam with friends or something like that?
Yeah.
I think you could do a single player one that allows local multiplayer and let people play it, whatever that Steam with friends thing is. And just to see if people really like it. And then I think if you did an online one, that would be pretty huge.
The cool thing about the arcade is you would be facing, like if you were on defense, you'd be facing as the defense, right? But in a 2-player game, you have to keep the angle with the offense, right?
On the arcade one, you played, so like usually in football games now, when you're on offense, you go up, right? And when you're on defense, you go down. On the arcade one, you would also it would flip the field where sometimes on offense you would be going down and sometimes on defense you'd be going up.
Oh.
Yep. So the reason, I think at Cyber League, I have offense always going up, just because it's easier to program.
Yeah, that's like how Madden is, or all the other games are.
It's the only reason I have it that way.
But I
think if people really liked it, I would have changed it.
I know with the dual monitor one, that it always keeps you on the bottom, whether you're on offense or defense. So
the dual monitor, yeah,
that's how it is. I've seen videos where guys on
I think you're right.
The guy on the left will be on the offense in the bottom, but the guy on the right will be on defense, and it'll be flipped. He'll be on the bottom, which I thought was pretty cool.
Right, yeah.
But when you're playing on one screen,
when you did just the 2-player version of it, though,
it treated it like offense is always on the bottom.
No, when you played when it was the 1-screen one, you did switch. Because I do remember everybody hated going down on offense. So the scoring was when you were going up.
So based on the field, like where the field was, or what quarter it was, or whatever period it was, you were always facing that direction.
Yep. And I remember there was
okay.
Like when I was on offense, I would always try to get my drives done before I had to switch.
That's part of the strategy.
I wasn't very good at going down.
Yeah, that's part of the strategy. But there's something here that I think there's something here. I don't know. You did it with 3D at least a level where it was, a good solid,
at least you could play it,
playable game, right?
Yep.
And for some reason, do you think that it has an opportunity to still make it today? Or do you think it's a waste of time? That's a tough question to answer, right? But
$500, and for some reason I still want to make another one. I really believe there's something there. There's magic in there somewhere. We just got to find it. Because I think robots gives you a unique opportunity in football. Because all football games are kind of the same, right? You get players, you draft them, trade them, whatever. And then the players kind of grow and you try to find the good rookies so they develop into really good pros. Robots gives you a different opportunity to control, to buy upgrades to specific players. Like you have ultimate control for what your team looks like. Like if I want my running back to be faster, I save up money and I buy parts to make him faster. I think that alone can open up so many things for robot football. Just the certainty of managing your team like a business, right? What do you invest in versus did I get lucky enough and find a good rookie? So that's where I think there's magic that I don't think any other football game I don't think can tap into that.
What do you think about like franchise mode? Or
I'm
season
still
mode?
trying to figure that out. I don't know yet.
Because that kind of takes, just real quick, that kind of takes what you just said, and it might hinder that a little bit because it might enhance it too, but it might, because the value of upgrading, the risk and reward of us upgrading a guy, to whatever the highest level titanium, if they blow up and they go down a level in the game, it's a shorter window of risk return. But I guess in a franchise, if that happens, I guess you just keep the guy that got downgraded, right? Or whatever. Like maybe there's other things that happen. I don't know.
I mean, that's how the game works. If you blow up a guy, if you blow up your titanium running back, he gets downgraded to magnesium, which is still high, but it's just not as high as titanium. But the problem is then you've lost all that money you saved up and put into your running back. And that feels different than a promising rookie just not progressing, right? It feels worse. It feels like you lost something. So you have to find a way to do franchise where you still try to build something, but you don't constantly feel like you've lost something.
But in your game, you had that ladder system.
I actually have a franchise mode now. I have the ladder still, but I actually do have a franchise mode now. It's super simple. It's basically one direction. You just build your team. It's very rare that anybody loses anything and goes backwards, because nobody likes that feeling of buying a really expensive player and then blowing them up.
Man, the way the spaceship comes through there and like destroys everybody at the end of the game, that's pretty cool.
I love that.
So that
was something I was going to add to my game too. I actually have the spaceship. I have the explosions. I just never implemented it because I got too frustrated and had to go to work.
Yeah, but I mean, in like your final version, like I guess that could possibly happen, and then you have to start from scratch, like with all trash players, like if you lose a game. But that is more of an arcadey kind of concept.
That's an arcadey thing. I think one idea I was playing with, and I don't have it fully fleshed out, but what if instead of the in between games and in between seasons, what if it isn't your robots that carry over, it's the technology that carries over? So as an example, let's say I have upgraded my quarterback's throwing arm 10 times or however many times. So he has the titanium throwing arm and he can throw the ball farther than anybody and faster than anybody. In between games, like that technology that I bought, that titanium throwing arm exists. So no matter what happens in the last game, let's say my quarterback gets blown up 5 times, I still start the next game with my quarterback with a titanium arm because we have the technology in between, in the week between games, we just rebuild him.
So like a tech tree, like in those.
It's kind of like a tech tree, right? And your robots each game start at where your tech is. So when you blow guys up, it doesn't feel like the end of the world. So you can kind of enjoy blowing your guys up. Be like, oh man, but you're going to get your good guy back next time. So then the off-field metagame becomes more about managing like your engineering, your technology, your engineering, your all of these other things rather than trying to save good robots. So it was an idea. I haven't really thought through everything on it yet, but I just know blowing up your robots is such a punishment. Nobody is going to enjoy that.
Right.
So you got to find a way around that.
And you got to find you got to find a way to, if you're playing some kind of a season mode and all your robots blow up. That was a pretty cool play. I followed
You
my
might as well
blockers.
just quit, right?
Well, it's pretty daunting, right? It's like, okay, my entire team that I built up just blew up, and I've been stacking them up for like 6 games or 2 years or whatever it might be. So that's the part about the modern games where you have to satisfy people who are going to be like, well, where's my franchise mode? Where's my season mode? Where's my long mode?
It's not that easy.
It's not that easy, and that's what the arcade games had an advantage.
Yeah, they never had franchise.
They never had to worry about that. I mean, this game had some pretty cool stuff. Like I'm doing the drills where you can like.
Oh yeah, This is the situation thing.
Yeah, the situation thing, and they did a lot.
Cool. I like that.
They did a lot with the game, but obviously I don't know how all this like why would somebody do this versus play the regular game in the arcades back then? I don't know why they would choose to do this.
And the only reason you would play this is because there was a different high scoreboard for this mode. So each mode had its own high scoreboard. So like if you were one of those guys who loved seeing your name on the leaderboard, you'd play this, and it was just another way to compete with everybody.
Because you get funds when you complete the task, right? You get extra funds, I think.
Oh, you don't get anything. It's just like when your quarters run out, you just put your name in, and like you remember back in the day, seeing your name on the leaderboard was just bragging rights. So like whenever your friends went and played, they would be like, "Oh my God, I saw you were still number 1." Or, "Oh, your name got bumped down to number 2." And then you'd be like, "Screw that. I'm going back to the arcade."
Okay. Yeah.
That's all it was. They were really smart. They had like 3 or 4 different leaderboards. So they had all these game modes you would pour money into trying to get your name on the leaderboards.
Yeah, it's all about. And then when somebody would pull the plug on the thing and you lose all your high scores, that was the worst.
That was the worst.
That was the worst. That was the worst. But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
There's the passing back. Yeah.
So here's the thing. So like for me and you, and I mean, definitely for you and I, we have to be passionate about what we're doing. And I think that this is the kind of game where I can get behind it because it's football, and I've always wanted to make this game. I mean, I've always wanted to buy the game, always wanted to have the game and play the game, and I think it's a really cool concept. And I've always had that mystery with it, like I said before, where it's like, I want to learn more about the game. I want to find out more about it because I didn't know a lot about it. But at the same time, I want to make a game that's going to be popular enough to make it worth my time, right? I don't want to do it and not make any money because I have to make money to do this. If I
nobody likes being broke.
No, and nobody wants to do it just for fun. I mean, I can't afford to just do it for fun. So I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm probably gonna do. And I already have 2 artists that are kind of helping me out. They don't know that yet. One doesn't know the other one's helping yet, but I'm trying to figure out who to go with. And because I need to see art. I can't make a game with just blocks, and I don't have assets that I can really use that would make sense. So I'm going to pay for a little bit of art because it's fine. And I'm going to try to make a prototype and see what it does. But I also want to take a little bit of time to research this game, put down some high level design like ideas of what I can do on the field differently that would be good, what I can do off the field in terms of modes or whatever it might be that might be attractive. Because I agree with you. Think about the people who aren't football guys. I mean, there are a lot of people who play my games that weren't football enthusiasts. They play it because the pixel art, and they thought it was a cute game, and they thought whatever. And you don't know how many times people just wanted to play a fun little arcade game. They didn't want to play Madden. They didn't want to play a real, well, whatever you want to call it, a more simulation football game. And I think there's something that could be here where if somebody wants to use robots and they like the sci-fi aspect of it, and you make the graphics cool enough and you make the game look good enough where people will be attractive to the art style, and they could look at it and say, man, I don't know who the Buffalo Bills are, right? I don't know who Josh Allen really is, but maybe now he's on TV, but they don't know, some of the unknown players out there, like Jared Goff or somebody who, if you don't know football, you probably don't know him very well or anybody like that. They're not on TV all the time. least not here. And then, and you don't have to know them. You don't have to know all the X's and O's. You can just go out there and have a little bit of fun. And
well, here's the other thing about that. Since you mentioned it, robot football doesn't need the NFL license.
That's also, and that's what we've been trying to do. You and I, we've been trying to separate ourselves from the NFL.
Yep. And robot football does not need it.
Oh, the quarterback just ran it in for a touchdown. That was good.
There we go.
So what happens with the, real quick, and I know you got to go.
Yeah.
What happens with the quarterback when you use the quarterback? I know they die. They seem to die faster.
They're just like everybody else. They take a certain number of hits, they start to smoke, and then they explode, and then they get downgraded. You can upgrade your quarterback just the same as everybody else. I think the reason everybody thinks the quarterbacks blow up sooner is just because they often take more hits. Blitzing is a huge part of playing defense in Cyberball. So the quarterback takes a lot of hits.
And the receiver, like all the robot types, do they always look exactly the same?
Yep. They always look exactly
I swear I just saw a receiver that looked really weird.
No, they all look the same. There's a couple of I don't know if they're
like that guy in the back
just
left.
Different angles. There's a couple angles that are weird.
Look at the guy in the back left that just showed up on that screen. I think he's a receiver.
That's the passing back.
Oh, okay.
He's got that little catapult.
Yeah,
arms.
yeah, he's got the little.
Yeah, that's the passing back.
Little catapult shooter. Okay, interesting. And okay, yeah. I wish you could boost with the offense at some points. You know.
Well, when you make your own, you can make them boost. That was something I was thinking about too. Like if I was going to do another version of Cyber League, like one of the ideas I had was maybe giving you the ability to buy boost upgrades for your offense.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe you're running back for, $500,000, you can buy a 1 second boost.
And maybe that boost only lasts like one play or a couple plays or a few times.
Yeah, maybe it's one time only. Maybe it has 5 charges and then it's just gone. Like again, because it's robots, I think you can do a lot of cool stuff like that. Or on defense, maybe instead of the one-time boost, you can say for $500,000, this guy can boost 3 times every play.
I swear I've seen it before, but after a tip pass, does anybody ever catch it ever?
Oh yeah, always. Okay. In fact, tipped balls is a strategy for playing defense. The strategy on defense is not to break up the pass or to tackle right away. It's to make the ball bounce in the air and then intercept it. That's like an actual strategy.
And you only get 4 plays per each side, right?
I think it's 6. Or 4 plays in the play calling screen. You get like 6 downs, though. Yeah.
But you only get four actual plays like on offense. It doesn't like flip around plays, right? Like you don't have a bigger
no, it does. So each play, but I think there's 100 available offensive plays, and what'll happen, like you'll either choose pass, and then it'll show 4 plays. If you backed out of that and went to run, it would be 4 different plays. Or if you did option, it'd be 4 different plays. Then on defense, it's the same, right? You get 4 plays if you choose short, a different 4 plays if you choose medium, and a different 4 plays if you choose long. And then after the play is over, right? You pick one and you do the play. You'll get a random new assortment of those plays.
Oh, so your playbook is deeper than the 4 plays per type.
Yeah. Yep. I think there was 100 on the arcade version. I think newer versions got up to like 170 total plays, something like that.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, I will kind of see how it goes. I mean, I'm playing it and I'm enjoying the game, right? But I know that it probably gets boring pretty quick because I could see this game being really fun in the arcades where you have a friend next to you and you're like, you're talking trash and you're coming up with some cool plays and your guy right here is smoking and you're like, oh, he's going to blow up any minute now.
Yeah.
And
you start targeting him.
Yeah. You start trying to go after him and knock him out of the game. And I could see that there's a lot of that camaraderie there, right? Where you have these like meta games happening inside of the game. And there's opportunity. I mean, a lot of these games were remade for a reason. Arcade games are just harder to remake because they were just built differently. They were
they were made to drain quarters. They weren't made to play by yourself.
They were like short impulse, experiences where it's like, I got to go again, or I got to keep going. And it was never this fully flushed out game. So that's something that's going to have to be thought through. But I think I'm going to try. I have the art working, and art always inspires me. So I think I'm going to try to get a project going and try to put something together and see if it starts getting some kind of legs, and if it does, maybe I'll try to make a game, because I don't think this game will take very long to make either. I don't think it's going to be, I think I could do it within a year if I do it full time, right?
Plus, you've already made Legend Bowl. A lot of the stuff you're going to make in here, it's going to be reuse some of the techniques you've already done.
What I think is very easy about it too is there's not really a lot of animations. They're just rolling around and getting knocked over. I mean,
that's the other thing I love about it. Robot football doesn't need a lot of animations, because humans, we all know immediately looking at a human running if it looks right or not.
Right.
Robots, they're robots. They're fake. You can make it do whatever you want. It doesn't look weird.
Yeah. So you don't have to worry about all that extra work and all the extra money and trying to figure out, how do I get a guy doing all these different animations? I mean, I don't have to worry about that. That's a lot. That's a big one there, to be honest. I spent a lot of time doing that.
Yeah. Robots just give you so much freedom.
Yeah. And I could see myself putting them on the field, like they were just running through back and forth there in that splash screen, putting them on a field and having like just working on the controls, like working on the movement, working on the controls, and seeing how you can get it to feel good, and thanks, Mark. I appreciate that. The Bills have a tough, I know we're probably going to meet up with the Ravens or the Chiefs. And if we meet up with the Chiefs, we don't get home field advantage. But if we meet up with the Ravens, we do. And home fields, we're undefeated at home this year. So that's a big thing for us. But man, I want us to get to the Super Bowl so bad. And I'm so skeptical of it. But I'm just this is just a weird year where I don't feel like we are that great, but we are playing pretty well. And it's like,
you got to see Vikings Bills in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But I know you got to roll. I got to roll. I got to go eat. You have to go work out. And, but we should try to do these every so often, because they're fun and they connect us, and, and I enjoy it. But I'm going to probably be doing some streams. So if you ever see it, just hop on, and then we'll go from there. But that's all I got, unless you got anything more you want to say before we get off.
That's it. Not bad. Good job for our first stream in like a year.
It wasn't that bad. And I learned a lot about Cyberball. I learned a lot. I didn't know you were a guru at the game. I mean, I didn't know I was talking to a Cyberball legend.
Obsessed with this game.
You probably have Cyberball tattooed on your back.
I should. If I were 18 at the time, I would have put that wide receiver right on my arm.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh man. Oh yeah. Shout out Bills. That's right. I'm wearing my Bills. I got this for Christmas. My niece got it for me. Cheap too. It was like a TJ Maxx thing. And I'm like, I won't wear this. And then I've been wearing it. I'm like, it feels pretty good. So I'll take it. But I never see Bill stuff at like a TJ Maxx. It's weird. I always have to order it online on NFL.com or something, But all right, I'll let you go, bro. Have a good one.
All right.
We'll talk. And
all right. See you later.
See you guys later. Thanks for coming, everybody. Peace.